Sydney, Melbourne, the Gold Coast and Adelaide currently have movie studios which are heavily utilised, whereas Perth has been slow to build world-class facilities.
Why can't we do something here in Western Australia? It's always been a thought of mine that Western Australia, Los Angeles. Western Australia has beautiful weather like Los Angeles and is absolutely a wonderful place for which to set up a film industry, and I've been trying to do that for years and am still trying. Anyway, after a lot of messing about, we finally got in touch with Mr. John McCallum. His group was called Fauna Films. They made Skippy and Barrier Reef and a couple of things like that. But we got in touch with them, and this was the height of the nickel boom in Australia. And after a lot of discussion, it was decided that we should try and make a movie in Western Australia surrounding the nickel boom. And so that was the start of the film that became Nickel Queen.
The Nickel Queen was made in Western Australia in 1971 and is considered to be the first colour and sound feature movie to come out of the West, though the creative talent and key stars were not from WA. It was directed by John McCallum, who also was one of the screenwriters and producers. After appearing in many films together, the Australian-born John McCallum married the English entertainer Googie Withers in 1948.
There was a crowd of enthusiastic fans outside St George's Hanover Square for the wedding of John McCallum, the Australian film star, and his bride, the gifted English actress Googie Withers. It wasn't a very nice day for the wedding. Perhaps they'd banked on it not always raining on Saturday. But nobody seemed to take any notice of the weather. Both bride and groom looked extremely happy as they left the church. I'm sure all of us would like to echo the scores of sincere good wishes which were obviously being pressed on this popular couple as they drove away to the reception.
They had two daughters, Joanna and Amanda, and a son, Nicholas.
London, and arriving at St George's Hanover Square, film star Googie Withers brings her 4-month-old daughter to be christened. With her Australian-born actor husband John McCallum, Googie sets a charming example of how to combine a screen career with a happy family life.
Joanna went on to appear in The Nickel Queen with her mother. Googie Withers was a dancer and actress with a lengthy career spanning some 9 decades in theatre, film, and television. She was a well-known actress and star of British films during the Second World War and post-war years. John McCallum was a theatre and film actor, highly successful in the United Kingdom during the 1940s and 1950s. He was also a television producer.
Getting involved in movies is, you have to see to believe, of course, and John McCallum and his people swept into the place, and they are experts, of course, at getting whatever they can at the lowest cost, and the lowest cost for them is nothing. We had very good association with the state government, and I think Sir Charles Court then was Development Minister, and he gave us every help. They wrote this story about Nickel Queen, a woman who was up in the nickel area, the northwest of Kalgoorlie, and that's where most of the film was shot. Apart from the fact that McCallum was very intent on getting things as cheaply as he could, and so he agreed to a couple of things. One, to put several people in the movie, and to use their swimming pools and things like that for various shots. And the second one was, which caused us untold problems, everyone he saw, he said, "We'll send you tickets to the opening night." As it happens, by the time opening night came about, if everyone had got a ticket, we'd have filled Subiaco Oval, which holds 45,000 people. The state government provided enormous facilities, particularly up in the outback, and the film was made. We put in 150,000, the Fauna Films people put in 150,000, and the remaining 200,000 was raised from local investors. We suggested that they should put in Premier David Brand in a scene, and also that they should put in the Development Minister Sir Charles Court, give them small parts somewhere, which they did with great glee, of course.
What's it like being known as the Nickel Queen?
Well, I think it's a bit bloody stupid.
Is this live or taped?
Live.
Oh, that's great. And I warned you she could be pretty rough.
She's perfect. Absolutely perfect. I love her.
Excuse me, Mrs. Blake. The Premier and two Cabinet members have arrived. I'd like to introduce you. Excuse me. Excuse me, Sir David. May I introduce Mrs. Meg Blake?
How do you do, Mrs. Blake?
How do you do?
I've read about your remarkable nickel find.
Oh,
Congratulations and good luck.
thank you.
I'd like you to meet the Minister for Industrial Development, the Honourable Charles Court. You've
How do you
certainly
do?
made Spinifex Hill famous.
Oh,
And the Minister for Mines, the Honourable Arthur Griffin. How do you do, Mrs. Blake?
how do you do?
We then had a nightclub scene. This is one of the most incredible things I think that I've come across. We had a nightclub scene in Parmelia Hotel in Perth, and people were invited to come along, and would you believe that we paid them $10 each. Gave them dinner, but they had to buy their own drinks, and they provided the complete set for the nightclub scenes.
Look at that, will you? They call that dancing, wriggling about like a lot of bloody caterpillars. Who's the old bag with the big boobs?
That's Lady Bartholomew, the wife of Sir Henry Bartholomew. That's Sir Henry.
They go for this title bit, don't they? I'll have to see if I can wangle one myself.
Another glass of champagne?
Let's have another bottle.
Why not?
The Broad Arrow Tavern substituted for the pub in the movie. Ross Lightfoot, a Goldfields pastoralist and prominent local citizen, who became a federal MP, is seen here as a thirsty miner who is in need of a drink.
Okay, in you go. But you can't be half as thirsty as I am. You might let a man to the bloody bar. Come on, Mary. I've just driven nearly 300 miles and I want a beer now.
Me too.
Hey, Mary.
Poseidon's hit 200.
You bloody...
Prominent Western Australian actors Eileen Colocott, Maury Ogden, and Doug Farley had roles, as did media personalities John Hudson and Rick Rogers. A hopeful John McCallum was interviewed by Sid Donovan prior to the Perth premiere.
John, you've just returned from an extensive trip overseas, England, America, Germany, Hong Kong, and you're very optimistic that this film is going to sell well overseas.
Yes, I am. I think we've got a very good chance. I spoke about it to British Lion, to the rank distributors, and to distributors in America, and they're all very interested and want to see a print. Now, we've rushed one through, as you know, for Perth, because this is our important opening here. But once it's on here, then we're getting prints to England and America. I'm going back in May, and I think with the interest aroused already, I think we'll get a very good release, world release for this film.
Why, in particular, are they interested in this film?
Well, initially we made it because of the interest in mining in Western Australia. Poseidon, when I was in London about a year ago, was front page news. Not financial page, but front page. It was in New York too. Now, Western Australia has been known throughout the world through the nickel finds here. We've made a film about nickel. It's as simple as that. I think it's an entertaining film. I think it's good family, general entertainment, and we'll find out tomorrow night. But if it's as good as we think it is, we will sell this film all over the world, which is very important for Perth and Western Australia.
John, the premiere of the film here tomorrow night, the first ever in Perth for a colour feature full-length movie made in Western Australia. Now, if you haven't seen a premiere, you've missed something awfully important, haven't you?
Well, that's right, you have, and I'm looking forward to this enormously. There's a great excitement about a first ever release of a picture, wherever it is. And it takes me back to Royal Command film performances in Leicester Square, and I've attended quite a few of them. King and Queen come, of course, and all the stars are there. And the whole of Leicester Square is filled with people, searchlights, television cameras, And we're going to see something of this in Perth tomorrow night. In fact, I think it's going to be marvellous. The television cameras are going to be there, as you know, and the lights will be there, the limousines drawing up, red carpet out, the governor is coming, and I think with the women beautifully dressed, men in dinner jackets, this is an occasion that, you know, is good for the theatre, and I think it's going to create a lot of interest, and a lot of people will be there.
We had the world premiere April Fool's Day in 1971, but it went very well, and the whole experience really was quite good, and it certainly was very good for Western Australia. The best of the premieres came in Kalgoorlie 4 days later, when you could barely hear anything in the film because they were pointing out people, yelling, jumping up and down, and goodness knows what. That'd be one of the best premieres ever held anywhere in the world.
Despite its lack of critical acclaim, Nickel Queen enjoyed strong popularity amongst local audiences and ran for a record 6 months at Perth's Piccadilly Theatre in Hay Street. Apart from Western Australia, reviews were at best mixed. 50 years after the event, Western Australia is still awaiting a world-class movie studio, though in early June 2021, Labor leader Mark McGowan announced that Victoria Quay, on Fremantle's historic harbourfront, will be the site of a new $100 million state-of-the-art movie studio. The studios will consist of 4 sound stages, offices, construction space, parking, set storage, and other amenities. It's understood the government wants the facility up and running in 2 years. This proposal has attracted much comment, not all of it positive. Time will tell if the state can join the rest of Australia in the rush to build studios and attract big productions.